benvenuti a questo webinar del ciclo dei webinar Let's Debate in English, che è un'iniziativa congiunta condotta da Indire in collaborazione con il Comitato delle Olimpiadi Nazionali del Debate, in cui appunto rappresento Indire, in collaborazione con la Società Nazionale Debate Italia, la rete Debate, e con Pearson, Pearson ELT, che oggi è qui il, diciamo così, protagonista proprio per eccellenza, e che ringraziamo per averci supportato in questa iniziativa, che è finalizzata a accompagnare docenti e studenti che per la prima volta, per il primo anno, proprio perché è la prima edizione, per la prima edizione delle Olimpiadi Nazionali, ad affrontare appunto il torneo in lingua inglese. Non sono sola, oggi purtroppo la professoressa Colombo, che è, come sapete, la pillar delle Olimpiadi, è impegnata proprio negli ultimi dettagli organizzativi, e quindi non è qui, ma abbiamo una valida rappresentante, validissima rappresentante, che è Michela Zanoletti, che eccola qui, che appunto è assolutamente qui per rispondere alle vostre domande, ai vostri dubbi. Ormai il tempo si avvicina, abbiamo cercato appunto di diluire un po' questi incontri, abbiamo iniziato il 28 febbraio con il primo webinar, e poi abbiamo con esperti tra l'altro internazionali, abbiamo cercato appunto di offrirvi degli spunti anche proprio sui vari aspetti, quindi focus on oracy, focus on argumentation, quindi abbiamo cercato di darvi un po' insomma, degli spunti e delle idee, e proprio per accompagnare un po' questa novità, appunto il torneo di Debate in English, che è per appunto una novità per tutti, nel senso che il debate ovviamente viene ampiamente sperimentato nelle scuole, nelle nostre scuole. Noi ovviamente come Indire è una delle idee di Avanguardie Educative, e quindi la mia area di ricerca, la nostra area di ricerca con le mie colleghe, insomma da tempo lavoriamo in questo senso, però ovviamente le Olimpiadi in lingua inglese rappresentano una novità, la novità di quest'anno. Bene, Michela, lascio la parola a te. Grazie intanto per essere qui.
Grazie mille Letizia, buon pomeriggio a tutti. Si sono da poco concluse le selezioni nelle squadre che parteciperanno, delle 12 squadre che parteciperanno alle queste prime edizioni delle Olimpiadi di debate in lingua inglese. L'esperienza ha visto la partecipazione di ben 104 squadre, quindi un numero elevatissimo, ben oltre le nostre aspettative, e sicuramente questo è indice anche di un grande interesse, di un grande fermento attorno al dibattito in lingua inglese. Torniamo a dibattere in presenza, ci ritroveremo a Bardonecchia alla fine del mese di aprile, per poter finalmente conoscerci anche personalmente, conoscere le 12 squadre che hanno passato le selezioni in lingua inglese. Come diceva Letizia, rimango qui a disposizione per eventuali domande, ormai manca veramente pochissimo. Stiamo curando gli ultimi aspetti organizzativi. La collega Colombo Papaleo, come diceva Letizia, si trova in questo momento proprio a Bardonecchia, perché stiamo verificando appunto che tutto possa funzionare per il meglio. Siamo ben contenti di poter ritornare a dibattere in presenza, e quindi rivederci presto a Bardonecchia.
Fantastico, grazie Michela, grazie anche per la disponibilità. Quindi potete scrivere in chat eventuali domande o dubbi, e poi alla fine appunto ridaremo la parola a Michela per le risposte. Nel frattempo volevo leggervi i claims che possiamo, o Michela vuoi farlo tu, come sono in chat, altrimenti li posso...
Prego, leggili pure tu, perché ho un po' di difficoltà.
Okay.
Vedo che la chat va e viene, Letizia, adesso speriamo
Sì, perché sì, no, che ti volevo dare questa solennità come rappresenta, lo faccio io, ci mancherebbe. This house would ban the consumption of animal meat, comunque li trovate appunto in chat. E this house prefers fair trade products over zero distance products. Quindi questi sono i due claim, e proprio per questo abbiamo diciamo chiesto ai nostri speaker di orientare, di dare comunque delle indicazioni proprio in questa area, che è tra l'altro la loro area, insomma, anche di expertise, e proprio un po' tutto l'ombrello dell'Agenda 2030, che loro ampiamente trattano sotto l'egida dell'IET. Quindi ancora una volta ringrazio Pearson, ringrazio Vanessa Donatella e lo special guest Harry Waters, ora appunto ve li presenterò, e ringrazio ovviamente la Pearson per averci supportato, per aver accettato di essere oggi appunto i guest star, guest speakers di questo evento. Io intanto ricordo che con Pearson abbiamo anche la pubblicazione, non so se Donatella poi lo ridirai, però insomma mi piace sempre ricordarlo, l'Angel Guide to Debate, che ho avuto l'onore e il piacere di scrivere appunto per Pearson, che è una pubblicazione, un volumetto proprio sull'applicazione del debate in lingua inglese in classe, che appunto magari è assolutamente gratuito, e quindi potete richiedere, poi vi mettiamo le mail, sicuramente Donatella potrà appunto rispondere a qualsiasi richiesta e eventualmente farvi appunto pervenire il volumetto, che è proprio questa guida, piccola guida al debate in lingua inglese. Allora, vi presento appunto Donatella, che penso sia abbastanza, come dire, nota worldwide, e soprattutto nel mondo dell'ILT, della lingua inglese. Is a teacher trainer, trained to teach pre-primary, primary and teens mindfulness in schools projects, and is trained to teach the 6-week Pearson Academy mindfulness course for teachers. Specialist interest areas are CLIL, young learners, mindfulness, debate, assessment, special education needs, extensive reading. In a current role as ELT sales manager, Pearson, she works with teachers and students every day to find solutions to help them achieve their teaching and learning goals. E vi assicuro, perché non la conoscesse, ci riesce davvero a rispondere on demand a tutte le richieste praticamente in tempo reale. Vanessa Harrison Walker is director and founder of KidsCan, an English language school for children and teenagers in Rome, Italy. KidsCan has adopted mindfulness as a whole school approach. Vanessa is a teacher educator and is trained to teach adults, pre-primary, primary and teenagers with mindfulness in school projects, and a 6-week Pearson Academy mindfulness course for teachers. Poi magari, se volete, ci direte qualcosa in più voi stesse su questo programma della Pearson. Vanessa is also a trainer for the Elton award-winning Pearson and BBC live classes. Specialist interest areas are very young learners and teenagers, mindfulness, debate, storytelling, and many others. Our special guest, Harry Waters, has buried deep in the TFL world for about 15 years, is a trainer for the Elton Award-winning Pearson and BBC Live Classes project. He's also the learning guide for Pearson and BBC Studios project Speak Out for Sustainability. His passion for teaching and obsession with the planet led him to create Renewable English, an online English course providing free classes and materials aimed at raising climate change awareness across the globe. Harry is also a passionate teacher trainer. He's a trustee for the British charity Kids Against Plastic and the radio presenter for Teacher Talk Radio. He describes himself as an imperfect environmentalist with a love of flags and funky second-hand shirts, and is very, very friendly and sociable, and really, I love him. Okay, so now the floor is yours. Vedrete che appunto condivideranno le slide e la presentazione loro tre, quindi lascio la parola a loro, e scrivete pure in chat anche durante la presentazione. Grazie ancora a tutti e tre, grazie a Pearson.
Okay, thank you, Letizia and Michaela, and thank you, Letizia, for inviting us all and for us being part of the wonderful debate Olympics project, which is really, really a stimulus for everybody. And so today's seminar and workshop is for teachers and for students. So welcome all the teachers and welcome all the students. Hello, lovely to see you all. And we're going to be looking at debating sustainably and how to use your voice to make a difference. So let's start with Active April. So today is 1st of April, and in the United Kingdom we have a saying, and it's pinch punch. What's the next bit?
The first day of the month.
And then we say punch and a kick for being
so quick.
Yeah, so and then I was looking that up actually before we came, and I think it sort of has Irish origins as well, so there you go, flick and a kick as well. So anyway, this is the active April calendar. So we're getting towards the final of the Debate Olympics. So we're all getting active. So it's a nice idea to share the lovely calendar from the Action for Happiness. And you can take a photo, but we will send you all of the links to these resources. And afterwards, you can email us to get them as well. But looking at the calendar, everybody at home, and Harry and Vanessa, which day stands out for you?
Well, considering our conversation up to now, I'm going to go for number 9. Turn your housework chores into a fun form of exercise.
Yes.
Definitely. Number 9, and I'm a big fan of number 7.
Get natural light early in the day, dim the lights in the evening. Yeah, no, that's a really,
I like having no electricity evenings as well, where you just turn everything off and maybe a candle or two. Old school.
What about you, Donna?
I'm going to start some planting. So Vanessa and Harry are both keen gardeners and very active with nature and planting. So I'm going to look at number 17, be active outside, dig up weeds or plant some seeds on my balcony.
And you have some marigold seeds.
Absolutely, yes. And have we got anyone at home? Has anyone writing in the chat? Are we able to see that? Or
please use the chat, because we'd like to hear from you as we're going through. So right.
Okay. So as you heard from Letizia, Vanessa and I are both mindfulness trainers, and as we said before in the webinars previously, that mindfulness and having a mindful moment can really, really help you in times of, you know, when you're sort of a bit anxious or about to do something new, or for example about to do a test, or even, you know, go into something like a debate where you're in a different environment to your own. So having a mindful moment can help you. So Vanessa, take us through this.
So this one is very easy to remember, because it's exactly what it says. So it's just stop. So you stop what you're doing. It can take as long as you want. But remember, normally when you're anxious or when you have to do something important, your breath very often becomes shallow, okay? And so in order to change that, to oxygenate our lungs and obviously our voice, because with debate, we're using these organs. So we need to be making sure that we're getting enough oxygen. So just stop, do exactly what it says. If you want to close your eyes, you can. So just stopping, taking a deep breath in and out, and just observing the thoughts in your mind, noticing what thoughts there are, and accepting how you're feeling. If you're feeling anxious, it's quite normal. Anxiety also helps. It can be a positive emotion, especially when you have to do something important. So just observing and accepting, and then opening your eyes and proceeding with your whatever activity is ahead of you. So very easy to remember. Stop, take a breath, observe, and proceed. So moving on, how do you feel now, Donna? Do you have a change in your feelings? Do you feel more relaxed?
I do. I feel absolutely relaxed and you know, ready to start debating. It was really good, just that whole idea of just stopping, you know, reflecting on what's going on in the head, and then breathing in and breathing out. I find that the breath is my real anchor, and it helps me to be anchored in what I'm doing, concentrating, getting that focus, but also that relax that I needed.
Harry?
Really good. I noticed that my breath pattern was the same as my dog, so
good noticing.
We were in sync.
Okay.
Lovely.
She's looking very relaxed at the moment, so
she's always relaxed.
yeah. So
Great. Okay, so Harry, the Sustainable Development Goals. This is the place to start with the 2 claims, isn't it?
Exactly. So, you know, these are something you've probably seen before. They might be up on a poster in your classroom. You might have seen them in a book here or there, but you might not really know what they are. Well, the Sustainable Development Goals were developed by the United Nations with their 2030 agenda, with an aim of a sustainable future for everybody. You know, they're spread across all of the different members of the United Nations. Now, are these goals 100% realistic? I'm not really sure. Are they a fantastic framework for learning? Absolutely. Are they targets we should be aiming to achieve? 100%. So these are different ways that we can, again, anchor them to our learning, anchor them to our teaching, and look at how each one of these can affect what we're talking about.
Okay, great. So now Letizia showed us before the topics, but you might want to take a photo of this at home. So over to you, Harry.
Excellent. So the first one, of course, is this house would ban the consumption of animal meat. And we'll be looking at some arguments for and against. And this house prefers fair trade products over zero distance products. Now, one of the great things about the Sustainable Development Goals is it focuses on more than just the environmental sustainability side of things. There are other aspects involved as well. So they're all things that we need to take into consideration when we're looking at topics such as these. So which individual SDGs are there? So when we're looking at the banning and the consumption of animal meat, there are a few different ones. There's no poverty, zero hunger, good health and well-being. So these are the areas that are linked directly to the eating of meat. And then, of course, life on land, life below water, climate action, and responsible production and consumption. Now, these bottom four are what I call the big four for the environment. These four are like the absolute linchpins to the environment. Of course, you know, zero hunger, no poverty, gender equality. These different aspects are also very important, but these four are for me a real core, and they're actually what we're focusing on next on Renewable English very soon. So these are the main areas we'll be looking at for that. Now for the other one as well, with the fair trade over zero distance, there's also quality education, gender equality, and reducing inequalities. These are other areas that we need to look at when we're talking about fair trade over zero distance. And we'll look more at that very shortly. But for now, let's take a look at the first one. So this house would ban the consumption of animal meat products. I want to know, are you for or against this, Vanessa?
I'm against it because I'm for the consumption of animal meat. Not a large consumption, but I think there are a lot of businesses that are involved in the production of animal meat. And I think if we ban it completely, lots of people are going to be without jobs, families are going to be in difficulty. So I am against this motion.
Okay, how about you, Donatella? What do you think?
Well, on the contrary, I am for this motion because I'm a bit concerned about the health issues related to the consumption of animal meat and also the whole welfare of animals and just sort of, you know, eating animals. So I'm going to go for 4.
Excellent. So let's take a look at some of the arguments for. So a huge one is that animal agriculture is responsible for a huge amount, over a third of the greenhouse gas emissions there are on the planet. So we're talking about looking after them, but also cows especially produce a lot of methane when they pass wind. And methane is very bad for the environment. And cattle ranching and soy farming, the soy that they need to feed the cattle is a huge factor in deforestation, particularly in the Amazon. Now, so not only are they releasing greenhouse gases, they're also taking away our natural ability to capture CO2, for example. The Amazon would absorb so much CO2 from the atmosphere, but we're cutting through it like there's no tomorrow. Now, something a bit like what Donatella was saying there, animal welfare in factory farms. Now, I'm talking factory farms, these big farms. So when you go to the supermarket and buy your meat, or if you ever go to McDonald's or KFC or Burger King or something like that, the animal welfare in these is just not nice. These cows and pigs have been, you know, they have grown up in areas where they can do absolutely nothing. Now, if you think back to when we were in lockdown back in the, you know, the start of the pandemic, here in Spain, we weren't allowed to leave our houses for 51 days. Now, I remember that was terrible. You know, we were cooped up inside. We couldn't go out. We couldn't do anything like that. And we thought it was the end of the world. But for animals, that's basically what their life is. So it's a huge issue. Now, for example, at my daughter's school, they promote using lots of milk, and you can see the nice happy cows on there. I can assure you the cows in animal production are not very happy. And then another thing that Donatella hinted at is the health issue cause. You know, because it says buy for there, it should be buy quality meat, because if we do have quality meat, there aren't many health issues. But the quality of the meat that we usually eat is not fantastic. It's injected with a lot of water. They take lots of antibiotics. So we're taking all of this into our body, and growth hormones and things that our bodies don't really need. And we're eating this and ingesting this. So it's not really great for our body as well. But that said, let's have a look at what, you know, Vanessa was saying. So she's against it. And the first one there is agriculture is the single largest employer in the world. So look across the planet, it employs lots of people. But maybe it's not on these huge factory farms that it employs people. It's on the smaller farms where, you know, they're growing more for their local areas. It is much easier, you know. It's much easier to go grab a steak, chuck it on the barbecue, bam, Bob's your uncle, as we would say in English. There's your meal, done. When it comes to plant-based options, you have to think a lot harder. What am I going to eat? When am I going to eat it? You have to plan ahead and find ways of getting these proteins into your diet. Another argument, green alternatives can be very expensive. If you want a burger and you want to buy a Beyond Meat burger, it will cost you more than a factory farmed burger. However, mushroom burgers are delicious. They really are. You can also make pulled pork style burgers out of mushroom. And then extremes are never the answer. So I think what Vanessa hinted at the start was maybe banning animal meat is not essential, but what we do really need to do is cut back on the animal meat that we're having. So maybe have animal meat 2 or 3 times a week. Maybe reduce dramatically the amount of beef and, you know, cow products that we eat. Now, if we can cut cows out of our diet, that will be a huge step in the right direction. You know, reduce it down to other items, you know, that are smaller than that, and eat less meat, and be mindful about where we get our meat from. You know, look at areas around you where you can get it. Think about the animal welfare. Think about how we get milk. You know, to get milk, the cow has to be or been recently pregnant. So, you know, it's a constant cycle of having a baby, being pregnant. Let's think about areas where we can get more, you know, more kind to our 4-legged friends, meat and things like that. What do you think, ladies?
Absolutely. I think, yeah, no, that's great. And what you've done, Harry, is you've given the students lots and lots of sort of different areas to, you know, develop in their debates. And I'm sure everyone's got, you know, views depending on what side they're going to be on.
Great arguments on both sides. So I think what we need to do is, obviously, you know, Harry was, you know, very articulate in his explanation, but obviously being a second language learner, to become articulate, you need to kind of do a bit of planning on your vocabulary. So what we've done is we have this mind map here, and you can just maybe brainstorm each of these areas and just write down the verbs and the vocabulary that you need to make your argument more convincing, just like Harry did in both of those. So it's good planning. Remember to plan what you're going to say, because otherwise, you know, you may get tongue-tied. And you learn new vocabulary as well. So, and one good thing, because obviously all of this language is they're long words. You probably have different ways of saying it. So remember, the word stress is really important. So it's deforestation, and it's plant-based, and it's consumption. And just make sure that you're making note of where the word stress is. So it's factory, because I know in Italian it's fattoria. So you might just need to make a comparison of where the word stress is. So good vocabulary study there for you.
Okay, so what have we got here, Harry?
So these are just a few websites that you can go to and check out. So when you get the slides, you can look at these different ideas yourself. So you can make up your own mind. You know, you don't have to just listen to this guy with a beard and no hair. You know, you can also go and make the most important thing is you form your own opinions. Don't just decide it on a meme that you see online. Go in there and have a research and look at different things that you can do. And if you're a teacher, check out some of these areas for some great materials in your classes.
Okay, that's great. And in fact, part of the process in debate is doing the research, because so that's really great to have those tips there. And now, so that's the first claim. So now we're on to the second claim. So over to you, Harry.
Now, I think, so we look at this house prefers fair trade products over zero distance products. Again, you know, we've got a clear line down the middle. But what we need to know is, what are these? Now, I'd love it if someone would write in the chat. That would be great to see what you think. If it's fair trade, just put an F in the chat. If it's zero distance, just put a Z in the chat. Feel free. So there you go, white there, or right there. There we go.
I don't know if people can write in the chat, though. I'm getting the impression that they can't. So anyway,
okay. Hopefully you can, but if you can't, don't worry. I'll tell you the answer. So if you wouldn't mind going to the next slide, that would be amazing. So here we go. The first one there, we've got alter eco. Do we think that's local? Do we think that's zero distance? So it's been grown locally, the alter eco chocolate, or do we think it's fair trade? Do we think it's zero distance, this alter eco brown butter? Oh, that looks so good. Chocolate. Okay, I'm not sure you can write there in the chat.
Well, I think I'll go for fair trade.
You're going to go for fair trade. You're absolutely right. There's 1 point there straight away for Vanessa. How about those beautiful looking pomodoros there beneath? The beautiful looking tomatoes.
I don't know whether that's fair trade, because there's a lot on television about, you know, how slave labor in these in the farms, you know, in various parts of the world. But I definitely think there's zero distance, because they could be around the corner from you, couldn't they?
That's me using
in Italy, probably.
Yeah,
exactly. How about this delicious coffee? It's got a bit of a clue on it, and I'm not sure if there are any coffee mountains there over in Italy. So what do we think about this?
I'm going fair trade for this one.
That's a pretty good guess. I think I'll give you that one. And if you see above there, now, you know, I can buy pasta in my supermarket here in Spain, but I don't think it'll be quite the same as that.
No.
What do you think?
and that one's got a real sort of pasta cutter. It's got one of those traditional old-fashioned little pasta cutters. So what do you think? I think that's
zero distance. But some people don't probably need to go out of their house, because they'll have someone, a grandma who makes pasta in the house probably. So
exactly. Now we've got the clue again there on the bananas. Again, Italy's not exactly famous for its banana growing capabilities. So I'm sure you're all screaming there at home, screaming at the screen. That's zero. No, it's not zero distance. That's
fair
trade.
There you go. So they're fair trade. And obviously below We've got some grapes. I don't know what they're going to be turned into. Could be all sorts of different things. But
There
Italy,
are many things.
exactly. Italy can grow grapes. It can turn them into many things. I love grapes. I think they're wonderful. So that one again is a zero distance. So the difference between zero distance and fair trade, we'll have a look soon, but zero distance are very close to you. Fair trade are grown in a way that helps the local people that are growing them. So
And this is really useful, Harry, because you give ideas to the students at home as to some of the vocabulary, some of the different examples they could be using in their, for and against part of their debate, depending on what team they're on.
Exactly. And the funny thing with bananas is they come over usually on a boat as well. So it's not they don't fly through the air. So they do obviously have a carbon footprint, but it's not a huge one.
Well, that's interesting as well, though, for people to think about that, transportation connected to the delivery of goods,
Exactly. And so what would you say, Donatella? Which would you go for? Would you go for fair trade or zero distance?
I think I'd go for zero distance, actually. But if it applies a fair trade approach as well, so because otherwise, that's not really, if we know that people are having a difficult life, picking tomatoes or whatever. But if it's done, in a fair way and they're paid fairly, that would be good.
Excellent. Yeah, Anna said both in there. What would you go for, Vanessa?
I'd be fair trade because I'm obviously keeping businesses alive. Developing countries need fair trade because they need, they have small businesses where they have money invested. There's lots of, funds that will develop them. So, it will keep them also in business. So fair trade all the way.
Very business-minded today, I see, Vanessa. That's what I like to see. So yeah, Anna said both. Now, again, so let's have a look at some of the different arguments. So with fair trade, the first one that we can see there, it's about to pop up. There we go. So they have a commitment to non-discrimination. So you can see the principles that will come up in a moment. They have a commitment to non-discrimination in the fact that the fair trade products are bought from people, as Vanessa said, all over the world, no matter where they are, no matter their gender, no matter their race. It's all about the product. If they have good products, then they'll be bought from them. And it's very transparent and accountable. If you have a fair trade mark, you can look at every step of the way. You can look at where the money is going from and who it's going to, which is one big issue with huge companies. Sometimes we don't really know where the money's going, usually into the back pocket of somebody quite rich. The next one there is about to come up. It's all the principles. So there you have 10 separate reasons. As you can see, it has all of the different things to do with fair trade, and you need to achieve all of these to be fair trade. And the last one, of course, is respect for the environment there. So products that are fair trade, they're not always organic. They're not always organic, but they do have to respect the environment, so they can't use lots of pesticides and nasty chemicals and stuff like that.
So this really is an important graphic, isn't it, for the students that are going to be, doing fair trade, because they need to be able to talk about each of these areas. So that's great.
Exactly. So yeah, especially with the no child labour and no forced labour. We were talking before. I know here in Spain, when it's olive picking season, well, it's not child labour, but it certainly isn't properly paid labour.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Okay, great. So
zero distance. We've got our local traders that we're supporting. We can see where the money's going here. If we go into a greengrocer, we can see our local greengrocer. For example, here in the village, it's Pepe, which is Jose, which I'm not sure what that would be in Italian, or Joseph.
Giuseppe.
There you go, Giuseppe. So we go down to Giuseppe and we see him. We know where he gets his food from. It comes from an allotment just down the road. You know, he has friends that pick it and bring it to him. So it has all of these three different things. It's supporting a local trader. There are low emissions on the transport because it comes from nearby. And there's no need for plastic wrapping. It comes to you and there is no plastic. There's nothing that makes me angrier than when I go to a supermarket, I see these ecological bio products. You know, these have been grown, there are no pesticides, there's no chemicals on them, and they're wrapped in plastic. And you just think, come on, guys. So all of these different things are a great thing. So for me, Zero Distance has a real focus on the environmental side of things, whereas Fair Trade has a much bigger focus on the kind of social justice side of things and the personal issue.
Okay, that's fantastic.
So it's a bit harder, this one, isn't it, to kind of be for or against? Because,
exactly. It's really difficult to choose which one. I think for me, it all depends on the product. You know, if I'm buying something that isn't local, I make sure it's fair trade. For example, I love bananas. You know, so I buy bananas, but I make sure they're fair trade. I love coffee. I make sure it's fair trade coffee. Now, I'm sure in Italy, the coffee is out of this world. What I know for a fact it is. I have been before. So it's sometimes difficult to choose the fair trade option. But you can get it from a local trader. Maybe it hasn't been grown there, but, you know, you can support your local traders in that way.
Mm-hmm. Lots of arguments, real valid arguments. So here again, remember that to sound like Harry, you need to be, you know, just brainstorming all of that vocabulary, looking at work together as a group. Don't do it on your own, work together. You know, more heads, great minds need to be together to actually produce things. And remember the word stress. So you've got lots of long words that will have different word stress from Italian to English. So you have emissions and exploitation and inequality and food waste. So making sure that your pronunciation, so as you come across, it's well practiced and you will come across clearly to the opposition. So, and these are worksheets that we'll leave our emails, all of us at the end, that you'll be able to get if you send us an email. So over to you again, Harry.
So exactly, this is again the make up your own mind. I've picked out three. These are different articles basically. One of them is what is fair trade, so you can look deeper into that. But then there are some arguments on buying locally or buying fair trade. And then, yeah, the 0 miles and environmental sustainability. So that is exactly what you're going to be needing. So I've been in there and I've found something specifically for this argument. So do check those out, grab some of the vocabulary and borrow some of the ideas.
That's fantastic. And also, again, take a photo at home of that principles of fair trade, because that's really, really important, because that'll guide the debate basically. And then, as Vanessa has shown, people can make a mind map, work together, get that vocabulary there. You might want to give 1 or 2 students in the group the task of working on the vocabulary to save time, but really getting it going. So well done. And what have we got here, Vanessa?
Right. So as I said before, the planning is really important, because debating's hard in any language if it's your first language, but in a second language, you really are having to put so many more skills. You're having to use so many more skills. So it's really important to plan. So these are really useful worksheets that will help you plan your ideas, so you can start brainstorming the for and the against topics like Harry did. You can then you can have your group participants, you can have the argument. Remember, it's really important to have supporting evidence to make that convincing. And then the first sheet is good arguments have a clear structure, so it can help to plan your arguments by thinking PEEL, another acronym that will help you plan your arguments. Okay, so you need to have a point, your explanation, evidence is so important. And evidence, you can even have a quote by somebody famous, you know, that supports that, you know, some activists. Even Harry, you could have a quote by Harry from today, which will support your argument. and link it and linking it and connecting it all. So leaving them where you've linked all of your information. And so just by planning that and writing that out and practicing is going to really, make your debate far more convincing. So all of these are worksheets, as we said before, that if you send us an email, we've put our emails at the end of these slides. Send us an email and we'll send you all of the information from our slides today with all of the worksheets, okay?
Your email's also on here, info@kidscando.it.
Yeah.
If you can all just take a photo and make a note.
I'll put it in the chat box. I'm not sure that the chat box is.
I don't know if it's active, but anyway, that's good. So just a reminder to everybody about Pearson and the BBC live classes. Harry, tell us more.
Absolutely. So some of you may or may not know, both Vanessa and I are trainers for the live classes, and we still have April and May classes to come, where you can join with your class from school, or you can join at home if you have to be at home on the big live lesson, and you can connect with people around the world. There's people coming from Indonesia, Brazil, Poland, Portugal, here in Spain. I had somebody in the next village over the other day. And connected to that, we have the Speak Up for Sustainability page, which has materials for all of these different areas. There are videos, there's readings, there's vocabulary, and we also have live lessons connected to that, which are coming up on the 11th and 12th. And this month, they're reduce, reuse, recycle, and water waste as well. So feel free to come along to those. It would be delightful to see you. Would be wonderful. So please do check it out. Register live classes. You can find that on just type it in online, Pearson and BBC live classes, and you'll be able to jump in there and join us.
Okay, that's great. Well, that's fantastic. As you said, Harry, we're really important for everybody to visit the Speak Out for Sustainability, because it will get them more information for their debate. And also the live classes gives students the opportunity to speak to students all over the world and build that confidence that you will need when you're there in your debate in the final, talking to schools, debating with schools from other parts of Italy. So the live classes could be a great icebreaker for that as well. So there you go, 2 fantastic opportunities. So here we've got, so Harry, tell us about Renewable English.
So Renewable English, as you can see, is a climate change awareness course that we have online so from this Thursday and then for the next 5 weeks, it will be every Thursday at 5 o'clock. You can find us on Instagram, you can find us on TikTok, you can find us on Facebook, you can find us on Twitter. You can also go to renewableenglish.com, and we have got loads of materials on there already. And loads of materials coming up all about the environment. And at the moment, we're talking about the Sustainable Development Goals. This week is number 11. Well, next week, sorry, it's 11, then 12, 13. The big 4 are coming up soon. So do feel free to come along to those.
Okay, fantastic. And Vanessa, if you write to Vanessa at Kids Can, the email address is...
info at kids, we've got it at the end, info@kidscando.it. We teach kids. Okay, yeah. There you go. Or my personal address, that's not a problem. And we'll send you all of the handouts today that you can use in the class to get preparing for your debate.
Absolutely. And we'll send you also Letizia's handy guide to debate.
Yes, I was also going to ask you also just to send the old package, also the handout and the materials
learning.
We can upload on the website. Okay, thank you so much.
So
brilliant.
Thank you. We've got a photo of the handy guide, Vanessa. We had it. Hold on a second.
Okay. So I've got it on there. If you send us your email, we can send you it. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. Yes.
I didn't have it on the slide.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. You were just brilliant. And also it was a sort of dance among the 3 of you. It was really, really nice, really interesting, a lot of inputs. Thank you so much. I'm sure that teachers and students connected will appreciate and will take advantage of all your suggestions. So thank you so much. Thank you, thank you. Allora vi ringrazio e appunto leggevo delle domande in chat rispetto anche ai materiali, per cui tutto il pacchetto. Intanto se andate sul sito di Avanguardie Educative c'è una pagina dedicata dove trovate le registrazioni degli eventi, degli altri webinar che abbiamo tenuto e caricheremo anche i materiali e quindi anche le slide, anche gli handout che ci manderanno i relatori. Per quanto riguarda gli attestati, poi la partecipazione non c'è bisogno di scrivere, leggevo appunto a proposito delle mail, perché è già nel sistema, poi le riceverete a conclusione del ciclo, riceverete tutte le attestazioni, gli attestati alla mail con cui vi siete registrati per entrare in questi webinar. Allora, io intanto grazie ancora, non so se c'erano delle domande per
big hello to Anna
voi.
Visconti as well. Lovely to see you, Anna.
Okay, got all your fans. Well, you're popular and you've got so many fans, so many teachers.
But we will send, we'll give you the slides so that you can use them, absolutely.
Yes, the slides and the handout and all the materials
the
you
debate
mentioned.
guides,
So that we can put on the we can upload everything on our page, on Avanguardie Educative page, where there are the recordings as well. Ok, se non ci sono altre domande per quanto riguarda, quindi grazie ancora per aver coperto tutta proprio nello specifico i due claims, I mean, in details, giving also suggestions on how to search for information and to support the argumentation. So wonderful, thank you so much. Allora io adesso darei la parola di nuovo a Michela per magari spiegare, intanto non so se ci sono delle domande per quanto riguarda l'aspetto organizzativo, esatto, e poi il programma mi sembra che appunto vogliano delle anticipazioni. Michela le ha già date in chat, magari se le vuoi ricordare.
Assolutamente, lo ricordo un po' a tutti, a qualcuno ho risposto privatamente, mi avete chiesto giustamente del programma, a breve lo riceverete, stiamo appunto definendo gli ultimissimi dettagli in questi giorni. Qualcuno mi chiedeva per organizzarsi appunto per i mezzi, soprattutto le persone che non sono particolarmente vicine a Bardonecchia. Vi ricordo che le Olimpiadi si tengono dal 26 al 30 di aprile. Il 26 di aprile, quindi martedì 26 di aprile, è prevista soltanto la cerimonia di apertura dei lavori la sera dopo cena, per cui ci sarà la cena per tutte quelle scuole che appunto saranno già arrivate, dopodiché alle 21 la cerimonia di apertura. Questo per poter dare modo a tutti i partecipanti di raggiungere in giornata Bardonecchia nel modo più agevole possibile. Il 30 le attività si concluderanno entro mezzogiorno, per cui ci sarà il pranzo e nel pomeriggio le squadre partecipanti partiranno e lasceranno la struttura olimpica. Queste erano le domande che mi erano state fatte, appunto soprattutto le persone erano interessate agli orari di arrivo e gli orari appunto di partenza.
Comunque la finalissima diciamo è l'ultimo giorno, entro le 12, giusto?
La finalissima è l'ultimo giorno, sia la finalissima in lingua italiana che la finalissima in lingua inglese, che si tengono appunto il 30, la mattina del 30 aprile.
Perfetto. Bene, grazie Michela per queste informazioni, questa anticipazione del programma, e comunque poi ovviamente riceverete. E leggevo ancora a proposito, appunto, domande a proposito delle registrazioni, dei materiali. In Avanguardie Educative c'è una pagina proprio dedicata alla Let's Debate in English, dove troverete già le registrazioni, il programma, le registrazioni dei webinar precedenti. C'è un'altra domanda che rivolgo a Michela. La nostra scuola per inglese è al 13° posto, quindi nel caso che una scuola non riuscisse ad andare, saremo chiamati come riserva?
Sì, allora diciamo che finora nessuna delle prime 12 scuole ha sollevato ha sollevato problemi. Nel caso sì, chiaramente attingeremo alla graduatoria per trovare una scuola sostituta.
Ok. Bene, allora, registrazione sì, cercate Avanguardie Educative, Indire Avanguardie Educative, c'è proprio una pagina, è proprio sulla home page, c'è il bottone del video con la registrazione degli ultimi webinar. Leggevo anche una domanda a proposito del CLIL, dei materiali CLIL, a questo punto Donatella direi che possiamo anche lanciare il mio volume CLIL e Innovazione che ho scritto con la Pearson, quindi tra i vari materiali, le varie cose e quindi eventualmente, ma poi se cercate la mia pagina di ResearchGate, lì ci sono insomma un po' tutte le pubblicazioni che ho scritto su CLIL, ma poi mi potete scrivere anche la mia mail l.cinganotto@indire.it e posso darvi tutte le informazioni, materiali, suggerimenti utili. E ovviamente per il CLIL il debate in CLIL, debate in English, debate in CLIL è assolutamente fantastico, una strategia che al di là delle Olimpiadi, al di là della competizione, applicata in classe come modalità formativa, come tecnica formativa, come strategia didattica è sicuramente un metodo molto efficace per appunto implementare la metodologia CLIL. Bene, ci sono tanti ringraziamenti e complimenti a cui ovviamente mi associo, non so se c'è qualche altra domanda, ma mi sembra di no. Comunque Michela, insomma, possiamo rassicurare tutti i partecipanti che riceveranno tutte le informazioni, che sarà tutto quanto.
Assolutamente sì.
Yeah, they know where to find us all, so that's okay. Some people have sent me WhatsApp already, so.
Ok, allora direi che possiamo salutarci e ancora vi ringrazio ovviamente i tre splendidi relatori. Thank you so much
Yeah,
to all of
have
you.
a good
You were
debate.
just
Enjoy. Eh?
Yes, enjoy and good luck. And thank you, Michela, and thank you to all our participants. Thank you for being with us.